Hello there. Go ahead, grab your favorite morning beverage, call a couple of friends, and let's enjoy Chloe's Coffee Chat, where meaningful commentary and lively conversations ensue as a breath of fresh air and a burst of fun. I'm Chloe Taylor Brown. Welcome to Chloe's Coffee Chat. So happy to be here to Chloe's Coffee Chat. So welcome this morning.
Hey, Chloe, it's great to see you too. I've got my coffee.
I'm very excited about this, Cam, because I've got a chance to look over the book that you love so much, How Money Works, and just the idea of talking about money. I've always, well, not in the latter years, but growing up, I thought that money was a private thing, that you spoke about it with your family, your spouse, your mother, your father. And in my case, the best advice that I got that I didn't really understand when I was just about to get married in my early 20s, I took Rick to visit my great grandmother, Mama Freddie, in Mississippi. And she was losing her vision. And she could hear she was doing all the hearing and the sensing. And she said, well, can you just leave the room? I need to talk to my grandbaby. And so Rick said, yes, ma'am. And he left. And she said, he sounds like a real nice man. She asked me a little bit about him. And she said, well, baby, I want you to always have your own, because when grandmama got married, she had her own land, her own cows, her own pigs, her own chickens. And so for me, I thought, wow, she sure is dating. This is really old. But as I got older, Cam, I realized land is very valuable. Livestock is very valuable. These are assets. And she gave me the best advice that I wish that she had given all of us. And she'd actually sat us down and told us to teach us how money works, because we didn't really know how money worked. We made money, but we didn't necessarily know how it works. So I'm so excited to be having this conversation with you. And I know I'm not the only woman who's going to be really into what you have to say. So let me tell you about Cam. Cam Scouller is a women's financial goals expert. She's the co-founder of Only Blue Skies, and she's also a contributing writer for Flourish Digital Magazine. Welcome, Cam.
Hi, Chloe. Well, it's great to be here. And it's really great to talk about money and to encourage everyone, but especially women, to really open up more about money. You got such great advice from your great grandmother. Unfortunately, a lot of us don't really learn anything about money from our parents or grandparents, let alone our great grandparents. But she taught you right about assets and saving money. We all become good and better about earning money, but setting it aside for financial goals and spending time to do that is so important. So I'm glad you brought up the book, How Money Works. And for those of you who look at the articles that I've written for the magnificent Flourish Digital Magazine, you'll see at the end of the article my email address, and you can send me an email, and I'd be very happy to send you a complimentary copy of the book.
And you're going to love it because it's so fun. It's not intimidating at all. If you want to just grasp it really easily, there are big pictorials and really bold bullet points that really can get you into saying, oh, I can do this. It's very inviting, Cam.
Yes, yes. So, usually when we think about financial books, we think about like textbooks from school, these really dense things with a lot of math in it. And I love the How Money Works book because it's so easy to read and it's kind of fun. You can sit down and read it in an hour, and you will learn about the basic financial concepts and the 7 money milestones to help you get on the right track for your financial plan. But I also really love the book because it changes these preconceived images we have about the financial services industry. You know, when we think about financial professionals, we think about, excuse me, old white guys in three-piece suits
Yes,
on Wall
gray.
Street, and we don't think about people who look like you or me.
Right.
But the up and coming group of financial professionals are people who look like you and me and talk like you and me and understand and appreciate things like you and me. And so that's who this book is written for. Those people who have felt kind of shut out from financial services, and have been kind of afraid or embarrassed or ashamed to talk about their situation. And especially women, because, you know, most of the people who are working paycheck to paycheck are women. And that's what we're teaching our children, how to live paycheck to paycheck, because we are the educators of the next generation. And if we learn better money habits and if we get better and more informed about it, I firmly believe that raising the bar of financial literacy for women will affect generations to come
Mhm.
because of the impact we have on our children.
Kim, do you think that since in just skimming through your book, it's not just in this country, it's a global phenomenon that we don't know how money works. And so, why do you think that is? Where did that start? Why don't we know how money works?
Well, there are these preconceived notions that it's complicated, that you have to have all of these degrees behind your name in order to understand money, and that it's something just for the smartest, the brightest, the most talented in New York. But perpetuating that misconception, I think, is this desire by the largest financial institutions to kind of keep us in the dark. It's why the subtitle on the book is Stop Being a Sucker.
Mhm.
Now, if you go to the biggest cities, their downtowns, and you look at who owns the tallest buildings are always the largest financial institutions. Now, I'm not saying there's some big conspiracy, but I am saying that they are invested in keeping us in the dark, because the more we need them, the more they can continue to grow their wealth and the big buildings and all of that. But if we take control and learn it ourselves, we become less dependent on what they're telling us, and we make informed choices.
Well, you know what? This is just running through my mind, and if it's not going to go away, that means I want to talk about it. Um, and these are two separate issues. What has happened with Breonna Taylor? This is reminding me of something that I wrote this morning. It is though we are purposely being kept in the dark. Now, what I was thinking was not necessarily about Breonna Taylor, but what you were saying was reminding me of when Black Africans and African Americans were enslaved. We were forbidden to learn how to read, because
Exactly.
with knowledge, we are going to rise up. And so, with financial literacy, we are going to rise up. And so, what I'm hearing you say is that they don't want us to rise up.
They don't. They are invested in keeping us uninformed. So,
Ignorant and uninformed.
exactly. Well, get this, it's not taught in schools. There are only 17 states that require at least one course in personal finance. I mean, think back to your education and our kids' education. I never got it in middle school or high school. It wasn't until I got to college that if I chose a personal finance course, then I would get that kind of education.
But you know what, Kim? It is such a wonderful thing to have women like you, women who are approachable, and women who are knowledgeable about statistics, about numbers, about finance, about the facts of money, and who's willing to share with those of us who feel a little bit intimidated. I love this quote, Cam. Today's statistics and trends reveal a specific message. Now is the time for women to lead. And that is a quote by you. Could you talk about that a little bit for me?
So there are all kinds of statistics and information out there about very positive information about women. You know, more women are receiving graduate and upper graduate degrees. Um, More women are represented in the workforce. More women than ever are holding management and executive level positions on the corporate side. But the other side of that is we're still suffering from a gender pay gap. Women earn 82 cents for every dollar earned by a man. Up until 1980, 85, 90, that statistic was improving. But for the last 15 years or so, it's remained very stable. Now let's translate that into real dollars.
Mhm.
The median annual salary for a man is $50,000. If a woman is making 82 cents for every dollar, that means the median annual salary for a woman is $40,000. Now, when you think about how big a difference is $10,000 to a woman raising her family,
Mhm.
that's all the money in the world. That $10,000 could have a huge impact on her family. So we've got all of this great information out there, but also all of this information that shows in this area, when it comes to finance, we aren't making progress. Now, whether it's because of institutional biases or institutions being invested in keeping women in the dark, whatever it is, I'm not going to sit around and wait for my corner bank to get with it and help raise my level of financial literacy. I'm going to take it on myself and I'm going to talk to other women about it. Now, the best way women make change is we get informed. Knowledge is power, but we also start talking about it. I
Mhm.
mean, think about what women accomplished, mothers accomplished when it came to drunk driving. Women banded
We're
together.
super powerful, especially collectively.
Exactly. When we start talking about things that are important to us, like drunk driving and the risks to our children, when we started talking about women's health issues and breast cancer in particular, we changed the whole landscape on funding for women's health issues and the way people think about it. So if we stop feeling embarrassed or ashamed or that we don't know enough or we're not smart enough or we're not educated enough, if we get over ourselves and we start talking about this because it's too darn important, we can change the landscape, not just for ourselves and our families, but I'm talking generationally.
What are some of the things? I know that in one of the articles, recent articles that you wrote for Flourish Digital Magazine, you talked about financial pivots in times of crisis. This is beyond a crisis where we are
Yeah.
now.
Well, and I'll tell you, in COVID, women have been disproportionately negatively affected by COVID in particular for two reasons. One, we are overrepresented in certain types of jobs, jobs in the travel industry, the retail industry, the hospitality industry. The other thing is there's been a lack of childcare options. And so more women have had to take off. For those women who've been able to keep their jobs, they've had to take more time off than men. Now, this impact women being out of the workforce because of the type of job they're in, and women who have had to reduce their hours will impact us for the next 2 years minimum. We're not going to get the promotions. We're not going to get the raises. The people who are going to get those are the men, unfortunately. We love the men in our lives.
And this is not male bashing at all.
It's not at all. But they've been able to stay in the workforce. And so they're going to be the ones looked at as, for the next promotions and raises over the next 2 years. So in a time of crisis, especially for women, we've got to be thinking about how do we pivot? Let's take this pause and let's think about things that we can do to change the trajectory of our future. Now, the first thing is for those people who need help, there are some great government programs out there. You may not need it now, but it's good to know what's available out there in case you do need it in the future, because we don't know how much longer this is going to go on. And even when a vaccine is discovered, developed, and distributed to the masses, the impact of COVID on so many industries is going to just shake up a lot of industries. And so we need to be aware of what kind of help is out there for us. The next thing I would say is if you've got debt, call your lender. You can go online or call their 800 number and negotiate your debt. So many lenders right now are in a position to negotiate favorable terms with their borrowers because they know everyone, we're all in this crisis together. And so there are a lot of lenders out there who are willing to help you by lowering your payments or maybe accepting a lower amount of principal.
I
The
love
next,
that.
yes, there are a lot of lenders out there who have been incredibly helpful to people. Now, the other thing I'd say to women in particular is, think about starting a business. Having multiple streams of income is so important. And if you've got a job that's only one stream of income, if you start a business or businesses, that creates more opportunities for income to come into your household in the event a pandemic happens. So, what is something you've always wanted to do or always been interested in doing? With online services, it's so easy to start a business now. I think 98% of the businesses on Etsy are owned by women. And so this is the time to really think about maybe I will start a business, or me and my best girlfriend, we've always wanted to do XYZ, or me and my sisters, we've always wanted to do one, two, three. Start thinking about those things, those hidden talents that we have that, we could monetize and do something we really love and share it with the world.
Well, Kim,
The next thing
and speaking of pivoting, I want you to hold your thought. That's exactly what I've done with Flourish Digital Magazine. It's not that
yeah,
I'm really not doing the other things. I'm just not doing them as much because everything just, we're in limbo. And the pivot came to me for the magazine, and it has been the most rewarding thing in many, 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 many years. I love all the things that I do, but the magazine pivot has been so fun. And because I get to play with amazing people such as yourself, it's a wonderful just to connect with other people, spotlight
yeah,
other people. We all win with Flourish. We're all flourishing. So,
exactly.
so
Well, and I have to say, Chloe, who would have ever thought that launching a brand new digital magazine in this time would make sense? But now that you've done it and I've seen it, and it is one of the most beautiful and diversely informative magazines I've ever, read through and observed. It makes perfect sense to me now. And I'm so glad you did that because it's been so much fun and so informative for me, especially in these times of crisis where I don't know where to get my information
Right.
about things that people are caring about, but I know you and I trust you. And
Thank
I know you're going to put information out there that I can trust.
Thank you so much, Kim, and thank you for your contribution. And people, women and men. So the magazine is certainly created for women, but we're inclusive. We have men too because we know that women want to see men as well, and men have something to say that women could appreciate. But flourishing is just so fun.